Let's talk about locks. Not just the style, but the story. Because it's not just hair, it's history, it's ancient, it's African, it's spiritual, and it's been called a lot of things. Back in the 1930s and 40s, UK missionaries pulled up in Jamaica. They saw Rastas with long matted hair and had the nerve to say, "That's dreadful." Alleged the Rastas who took their Rastafarian identity from Ethiopia. By the way, there's only one or two African nations that have never been colonized. The other is Liberia. Anyway, the Rasta said, "Bet, you're gonna call it dreads, we're gonna flip the script." So dread became honorable and respect for Jah, the name that they call God. Wearing locks continued to be a spiritual flex. So now dread carries two meanings. One from the colonial gaze and the other from the Rastas meant to empower and basically don't touch my hair. Some folks say locks drops the colonial stains. Others say dreadlocks to honor the Rasta roots. Both choices are valid. People who do locks really carry something special. Every lock they twist, retwist, palm roll is a thread in legacy. They not only know how to nurture growth, not just hair, but confidence. They know when to use rose water, when to use oils, when to be quiet and let the locks speak for themselves. They preserve and uplift. The history, ancient. Locked hair showed up in ancient Egypt on statues and mummies. Hindu holy men in India wear jata. Masi warriors in East Africa dye theirs red. Even Greek and Roman texts mention dreaded hair. Bob Marley globalized the modern look. For many cultures, locks were never just fashion. They represent power, even in the Bible. Discipline, spiritual connection, Samson's strength lived in his uncut hair. In parts of West Africa, locks were worn by priests, healers, and spiritually marked children. Their hair was left to grow freely to show the person carried spiritual weight. Some folks even say locks act like antennas, pulling in energy, memory, and spirit. Others say the longer you wear them, the more you carry your story. Either way, it's deep. In the US, locks started showing up in the late 60s and 70s. Reggae and Rasta culture spread through music and migration. The rise of African spirituality, Yoruba, Kemetic science, and Ethiopian Christianity also contributed. By the 80s and 90s, hip-hop, neo-soul, and pan-African movements brought locks into the mainstream. It became a visible expression of Black pride. Locks mean different things to different people. My Gen Z son says that in his generation, some girls see them as a symbol of attraction. The Crown Act, first introduced in California in 2019, has helped protect natural hairstyles and protects us against racial bias in our hair. However, that tension still lingers and Black hairstyles are still policed in some spaces. Locks are worn with pride from the streets to the boardroom. Again, for many, it's not about fashion. It's about legacy. It's about being seen fully, authentically, and unapologetically. Whether you wear them for faith, fashion, or freedom, know that you're a part of something ancient, powerful, and deeply Black. If you have locks, what do they mean to you? If you feel like sharing. Follow me for more. Let's talk about locks. Not just the style, but